This happened back in 2002. I was 15 years old, sleeping in a friend's house. We have a deal where we take turns choosing horror movies to rent and watch. We usually go to this old VHS store. We're from a shithole in South America, so couldn't afford a DVD player back then. But we also went there because it had the best B-horror movies you could find in our city. This one night, we rented about 6 movies and headed back to his place. We ended up watching 3 of those movies in a row. It was late already, probably around 2 a.m. I didn't notice it at first, but friend had slept, probably during the beginning of the last movie that I chose. This one was a very boring 80s slasher in the woods type of movie, only 75 minutes long or so. I tried to stay awake to watch it to the end by myself. The movie was nearing its end anyway. It's getting boring, and I am also getting sleepy. I try my best to keep my eyes open, but I just can't do it, which is odd, because I was not even feeling tired just a few minutes ago. That's what I thought to myself, and then I slept. Suddenly, someone is pulling me by the arm. "Wake up, dude, wake the fuck up." "What the fuck, let me sleep," is my immediate response, still refusing to even move my head to see why he was acting so weird. "Wake up now, dammit," he insists. But after a few seconds, he suddenly stops talking. Dead silence. Not just any silence, but as if you suddenly became deaf. I thought it was weird, so I decided to finally check what's going on. My friend looks pale and is staring at the TV. I look at the TV. There is static all over. But looking at it, you can notice this very strange face on the screen. It looks like it has eye sockets, but no eyes. Mouth open, triangle-shaped teeth. The TV starts making a lot of noise. I tell him to stop fucking with me and simply turn off the videotape. I don't care for this stupid prank that he is trying to pull on me. He is actually shaken, and his voice is cracking. "Dude, I'm not doing anything." The volume of the TV seems to be raising by itself. The static effect is wearing off, and the face on the TV becomes clearer and clearer. It still has the same shape/size, and the sound from the TV keeps on increasing on its own, but the TV does not indicate that the volume is being raised up. It gets so loud that we are actually feeling uncomfortable. My friend now puts hands on ears and starts screaming for me to do something. I just say fuck it and take the videotape out of the VHS. But nothing happens. I hurry to the back of the TV and unplug it from the socket, and nothing happens. The face is still there, and the sound is still going on loud as fuck, even though I unplugged the goddamn TV from the socket. I am freaking the fuck out right now because I realize my friend really was not pulling a prank on me. I just ask him to show me where the power box is located in his house so we can permanently shut off all the electricity in the house. We run as fast as we can there and turn everything off. There are no lights in the house or any other devices working. We can still hear the fucking TV on. We run back to the room where we were, and the face is still there. It lingers for another 5 minutes or so, then out of fucking nowhere, disappears. No more face on the TV, no more sound. We just stare at each other without saying anything for some time. We go back and bring the electricity up. The TV seems to be working fine now. We go back and sit there again, looking at each other without saying a word. It's close to 6 a.m. now. We tried to come up with an explanation for what it was, but can't. I tell him I can't sleep and will stay awake until the sun is up. He agrees with me. And that's it. I'm not sure if the end is anticlimactic or not, but here's the thing. I am not making this fucking shit up. No one fucking believes any of us when we tell this story, but it's stuck in my mind since that day. I tried searching the web for what it could be, and came up with a few examples of similar cases. Apparently, this is actually a thing, and is called instrumental transcommunication, or electronic voice phenomenon. You can Google and read more about it. It's quite fascinating. Here is some more about it. Within ghost hunting and parapsychology, electronic voice phenomena are sounds found on electronic recordings that are interpreted as spirit voices that have been either unintentionally recorded or intentionally requested and recorded. Parapsychologist Konstantin Rudive, who popularized the idea in the 1970s, described EVP as typically brief usually the length of a word or a short phrase. I'm an old boomer that has trouble keeping up with meme culture, so when I saw people posting pictures of old creepy abandoned offices, I thought it was something I could get on board with and share my experiences with. However, I found out it's some shitty creepypasta stuff and roleplay about if you do some ritual, you can go to some dimension. Well, I am here to tell you that there is plenty that goes on in real office buildings after hours that is bizarre and creepy as fuck. I've worked as a third shift maintenance man, janitor, security guard for about 18 years. I work for a company that takes general housekeeping contracts out on older or abandoned office buildings, and we keep the lights on and just generally try to keep the place from getting completely overrun with homeless people and graffiti. Overall, it's a really chill job. I spend most nights watching Netflix, taking out some trash, replacing a light bulb with ballast, and telling kids, listen man, y'all can skate here or hang out, just don't get into trouble and watch out for cameras. But, in 18 years, I have come across some things that seem really strange, creep me out, or flat out bother me to a point where I refuse to go back to a particular building. If y'all want, I can share some of my stories. None of them will be particularly exciting, but they are all true occurrences that I can't completely explain or that just aren't quite normal. You will also have to excuse me if I take my time in posting. I'm not in a particular hurry because I have got all night, but if you have any questions or comments, I am open to that as well. Whenever people ask me whether I get scared at my job or if I find it creepy, I always share this story with them first. I used to be really hesitant about sharing it because I was not sure how people would respond, but over the years, I've shared it on 4chan a couple times in various places on the internet. A long time ago, when I first started with the company, one of the first buildings that they put me in was an old scheduling building owned by a hospital. Primarily, it was used as an archive for medical records and patient and employee schedules, and it was one of the most repressive and depressing buildings I have ever seen. There were no decorations or wall fixtures in the building, only miles of desks and filing cabinets. The very first week that I worked there, a doctor committed suicide on the roof, and everyone there acted like it was just another day at the office. They told me that a couple of years before that, one of the higher-ups apparently killed his wife on a boat and then fled the country. There were all kinds of stories like this, but you can never be quite sure in the workplace how much of it is true and how much is exaggerated. So, I worked in this place for a couple of years, and the whole time I'm there, I kept having these bizarre feelings. I would constantly get this image in my mind that I was being watched, like there was an old woman with long black hair staring at me from around the corner. I would always look and feel foolish, but the feeling still loomed. Sometimes I would be walking towards a window at night, and my obscured reflection would look like I was being followed, but it was a trick of the light. Despite all this, I never thought anything was too off. I just thought it was spooky, and I kept it to myself, never mentioning it to anyone else, until one time I went on vacation. When I came back, my coworker who I was trading shifts with claimed that he kept having feelings, like he was being watched by an old lady or something, and he was not the only one to make that sort of claim in private. Another coworker, years later, mentioned to me that he hated working at that building. When I asked him why, he leaned in and quietly told me, when I was in the bathroom, I thought I saw a woman that looked like the Wicked Witch out of the corner of my eye. So after all of this, it's one of the only buildings where I flat out will say no to. I don't work there anymore. The thing is, I don't even believe in ghosts. I'm not sure exactly what is going on with that place, but it definitely has something in particular that's oppressive, that buries that image of an old woman with black hair into people's minds. There was another occasion when I was making the rounds in an annex of a building. Everything was just like a normal night, when suddenly, I heard footsteps on the other side of a row of cubicles. I was supposed to be the only one in that building, and it had been locked down hours ago, so I called out, "Hello?" Whoever it was suddenly burst into a sprint, and I could hear them breathing. That not being the normal reaction, I decided to follow, but they were really fast, and I saw the door of the offices swing open. I ran into the security office, and my coworker and I reviewed the footage, and you can see the door suddenly swing open, but nobody walks through. A few seconds later, you see me walk through. His first reaction was, the door must have been cracked a bit, and the AC kicked on. but I know that I heard footsteps before this. I spent the rest of the night reviewing the footage and making rounds, but nothing was ever found. Completely unrelated to that was a night where I walked into the back corner of this office where this one guy was working late. He didn't know that I could see him, and when I poked my head around the corner, he was deep-throating an entire sleeve of Oreo cookies. I'm not exaggerating when I say he looked like a snake that had unhinged his jaw and was forcing the entire stack of cookies into his mouth. His eyes were rolled back in his head and teary, and he was jamming them in like some sort of monster. I just looked on in silent terror and quietly stepped away, hopefully before he noticed me. This next thing didn't happen to me, but it happened to my coworker Rob. Rob was put in one of our newer buildings, and none of us really knew the layout yet. It was an old building that used to be used by the local water department, and it had a huge underground portion with lots of pipes and what looked like boilers and tanks. On the second night, Rob goes down in the basement and does his rounds. He is checking to see what keys go to what rooms, and he finds out that a lot of them do not have keys at all. So he goes back and gets the master key and comes back down to hear that someone has snuck down there in the time that he was gone. He forgot to lock the door behind him when he left. He goes back in the corner of this floor and turns on the light. You know when a light bulb has been off for a long time, and you turn it on and they sometimes pop and go out? Well, Rob said that when he turned the light on, he caught a glimpse of a man standing in the room with a bag over his head before the light went out. He thought that there was nobody there, that it was just his mind playing tricks on him. But just as he thought that, he heard footsteps running away, and he followed after the man with a flashlight. Rob was a big old boy and could not catch up to the guy, who apparently hid behind some pipes and crawled down behind where Rob could see. So Rob called the cops, and by the time they showed up, the guy was gone. They checked all the footage and never saw him leave out of any door or window. Sometimes things get pretty serious or bizarre with the people we come across. For the most part, it's just local teens walking around after dark. Most of them are just hanging out, smoking weed or sitting around, no big deal. But on more than one occasion, I've had to deal with crazies that can only be explained as years upon years of drug use. There is this one guy named Jake that shows up every once in a while, and he insists that gremlins are the source of all of the world's troubles. If you talk with him for any length of time, he explains that there are metaphysical, invisible creatures that he has dubbed gremlins that lurk in objects and that they are waiting to cause havoc at just the right time. He is dead serious about this, and he believes that most paranormal or unexplained phenomena are these creatures. In his words, God, Satan, the government, nah, they're all gremlins. If you pull out your cell phone, he insists that you put it away, that it's filled to the brim with them. One time, at one of our more remote locations that was previously owned by a religious organization, we had a strange occurrence where several people in trucks, both men and women, had an impromptu orgy just outside of camera view. We had seen that there were 4 trucks packed with people, and security did not react at first. And about 15 minutes later, security went down there, and they all scrambled and sped off. On the spot where they had parked were over 20 used condoms and wrappers. It had to be someone that knew those hidden cameras were there and had access to the front gate. But when investigation took place, it was suddenly hidden from all of us and became a classified matter. Be me. This night I was sleeping. I wake up. The town is so fucking noisy that I can't sleep. Fuck. Oh well. I fall back asleep again. And then I wake up again. There is just pure silence. I live in a very old house that is in the middle of a huge city. There are now no sirens, no cars, no birds, no nothing. I stand up from my bed. I look through the window. Everything is completely silent and unmoving. I shift my eyes to the right of the road next to my house. I see something or someone, a perverted joke of something barely humanoid in shape, twists itself up the road. I inspect it closer. As soon as I focus my eyes on it, it snaps its head back to me. It starts running very fast, still no sound. I go back to bed, hide under the sheets, and crumple them up, so it's not obvious that a human being is underneath them. I feel it watching me. The only thing I hear is my heart and breath. I hope to God it does not hear it too. I somehow fall back asleep. I wake up. It's morning. The town is noisy again. I get up and go to work. I would have dismissed it as a dream, but there was a very clear imprint of a hand on my window, and there were drops of something, black and gooey, like very dehydrated blood on my windowsill. Hey, hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you want to hear more, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment because it lets YouTube know you like the content and helps more people to see these videos. My next big goal for the channel is 100,000 subscribers, and as a celebration, I will be doing a Q&A video once we hit that goal. Thank you, and back to the stories. I was 13 years old at the time that this happened. I was with my cousin smoking. Stoned. Our house is in a rural part of southern Mexico. There is jungle everywhere. The peaceful silence is broken by a loud high-pitched scream coming from close by outside. The closest house is far as fuck. Outside, there is nothing but a field with no lights and tons of trees. Now, keep in mind that my cousin is the calmest dude ever. After the scream, his eyes get big, and he looks fucking terrified. Let's call him David. We hole up in his room for an hour, all while listening to something moving in the trees, literally shaking the hell out of the trees. I remember that my mom is going to question me like a motherfucker if I don't wake up in my own room. She does not trust me because she found my bud, and she knows my cousin is a big party kind of guy. I tell David that I have to go back to my room. I am terrified to step outside as I have to cross a small open area surrounded by pitch darkness to get to my room. I get armed with flashlights. I slowly walk outside. David stays by the door of the hallway covering my back while I rush to my room. As I open the door, I hear something or somebody running in the fields, stepping on the leaves and hitting the trees. I enter my room and lock the doors. I get in bed and start texting my cousin. Another scream. We go to sleep right away. The next day, we asked all the adults if they heard anything. They all said no. We also asked the closest neighbors, and they said they did not hear anything either. We never spoke about it again. It still scares me up to this day. Another one. Be me, 2 years after moving to the US. The whole synthetic weed fad had just started. Buy 8 Gs for $5. I go with my friend Eric to the woods next to my apartments. The woods are huge and really dense. Fucking deer live here, along with coyotes and armadillos. Motherfucking Texas, y'all. We start smoking the shit, but we don't know spice is very damn strong. Smoke 5 bowls each. Trip engaged. All the trees started moving like seaweed in this relaxing, wavy dance. I am losing balance. The ground is moving like a wave. We both sit down. Laughing fit starts. Literally laugh for 30 minutes straight. We calm down when this huge spider crawls out of fucking nowhere. We are stuck in place. We are terrified, but we cannot move because we are so fucking high. The spider walks up to Eric. He grabs a stick and beats the shit out of it before it reaches him. The spider's fat belly splits open. This large, black wasp-like creature crawls out of the spider like some alien shit. It flies away with a loud-ass buzzing noise while we sit there in terror. Eric, did you fucking see that? Yes, I saw it too. Let's get the fuck out of here. We packed our shit and left. That has seriously been the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me while on drugs. It might not be scary to anybody here, but at the time, it was pretty fucking horrible, and I still have no idea how the dead spider morphed into a giant black wasp. This is my cousin's story and not my own, but be 12 years old. Staying at a friend's house while living deep in Merida, Yucatan for summer. There are no doors in friend's house except the front door and back door. All the rest is just doorless, arched entrances to each room. The house is pretty old, made from cement and stone, the usual in this area. Some parts of the house have dirt floors, also normal. It's just my cousin, her friend's mom, and friend's dad. Very relaxed, hospitable family. Mom is very friendly, serves snacks and drinks without having to ask. Their dad sets up a little area to play in the front and backyard and joins them for a few random games. The sun starts setting. Time to go back inside. My cousin wants to stay up late to talk about stuff and still play. Her friend and family have different plans and immediately start getting ready for bed. Okay, some people do this to get up early to farm or for work, and so she respectfully gets ready too. Before slipping into bed, friend and her family confront her and just look into her eyes. Whatever you do, don't get up until sunrise, okay? Even if you wake up, just leave your eyes closed and wait until you feel the sun. Cousin is thoroughly weirded out and kind of spooked by now, but she agrees to it and they all head to bed. 2 a.m. rolls around. Cousin wakes up with an extremely parched throat. Can't stay in bed because throat is so dry, so she gets up to get a glass of water. Her bed is facing the doorway towards the kitchen, so it was not far. She figures she could get a glass of water quickly before getting in trouble. Goes into kitchen for a glass of water. I thought I told you not to get up at night, Anon. She freezes up, hearing her friend speak. She turns to answer her, only to see that it was not her friend, but some sort of distorted blackish green mist standing in the doorway. She freaks the hell out and runs around the other way back into the room. There were 2 entrances. She slips back into bed quickly and pulls the covers over her face. She can still feel whatever was there still in the doorway. She does not dare take off the covers and can't really sleep, so she waits until morning with her eyes closed. The sun rises and she feels that the thing is gone. Friend's family goes to wake her up and cook her breakfast. Cousin calls her mom to pick her up early, and her mom comes by 20 minutes later. Before leaving, she asks her friend about the reason why she could not get up at night, leaving out the fact that she broke the rule. It's better that you don't know. Cousin does not press any further and leaves right away. Never goes back to her friend's house and returns back to the US after summer. She lost contact with that friend after a while. So, I've been reluctant to tell this, because it's hard to amass everything in words, and reliving the experience, much like the other Anon who posted here, makes me come to tears. But I have enjoyed reading the others' experiences so much that I will add. There is an old legend in Oregon about a rural town called Lafayette. You can Google it as well if you would like. The story is basically about a woman suspected of being a witch and being hung because of it. Yet, just before she was hung, she cursed the people of the town for this persecution and said that the town would be burnt down 3 times over. The town actually has partially been burnt 2 times to this date, whether it be through arsons or the curse, who knows really. It is said that her son buried her in the Lafayette Cemetery, and if you go there you can see her walking around or standing in the cemetery. It is said that also that if she sees you, she will attack and leave scratches across your back, driving you out of the cemetery. Upon first hearing this amongst friends, I thought about how great of an urban legend this is, and how I wanted to go out to Lafayette and spend some time in the cemetery just for the experience. My friends agreed, and some weeks later, we looked through maps to see where the cemetery was located. Little did we know that there were 5 cemeteries in Lafayette built since then. 4 of them were not even on maps, and were just off-roads leading to cemeteries on the outskirts of town. Regardless, we set out just to have a creepy fun night. We drove out to Lafayette. The path there is on multiple 2-lane roads, often extending through miles of farmland where you don't interact with another car for miles. We passed through the main street of the town in less than a minute. The population there is about 3,700 or so. We then drove to the only cemetery highlighted on any map that we found. Nothing out of the ordinary really, just another rural town cemetery, beer bottles from kids drinking on a Friday night. We spent a little time exploring the cemetery and did not hear or experience anything. Not that we thought something was going to happen, but you want to be respectful when doing something like this, you know? You want to be creeped out and hear or see something. Sadly, we did not. So time elapsed, and we just decided to leave and drive on the outskirts of town to see if we could find anything. I am physically tearing at this point as I write this down, because I am remembering what happened. So we drive on the outskirts of town for about 20 minutes, trying to find another cemetery using map layouts on our phones so that we don't get lost. Eventually, we are driving by a forested area, and there is a closed lock gate amongst all of the trees for no vehicle entry. We decide to say fuck it and go around the gate. The pathway is lit enough by moonlight to follow it, but we carry flashlights anyway to help guide us. The hike took about 10 minutes to get to the end of the pathway. The pathway is also on a non-steep hill, progressively moving upwards for the entirety. There is another tall gate at the top of this pathway, with a sign titled, I shit you not, Lafayette Cemetery No. 2. We enter the cemetery, which is really just a group of trees within the middle of a clearing. The graves are very old and non-legible for the most part. They are shifted due to water erosion and being on a slight hill, so some sit higher than others on the grass and nothing is really level. There are some standard gravestones and other flat graves on the ground. The whole environment is much more unsettling to us due to basically stumbling on this out of nowhere. My friend pulls out a homemade Ouija board from his backpack. I had no idea that he had it in there, and was reluctant to really do anything because at this point, the environment was really unsettling, and I was a little creeped out. I keeled to peer pressure from the 3 others that I was with there, and we began to Ouija. We set the board on top of a flat grave, and made contact with a spirit and asked if it was male or female. It was male. We asked its name. It was John. John Ghost! John Ouija! Oh, hell no. My friends began to poke fun at how boring the spirit was, and started asking it about which back scratch. The replies were not conclusive. It just spelled random letters and counted backwards from 10. The piece then moved a bit faster around the board. The friend who created it told us that we should not let it fall off because that would be really bad. I don't even know if that's true. So we forcibly moved the piece to end and was done with it. At that point, I was more creeped out, although I had not truly seen or heard anything. My friend, knowing that I felt this way after the Ouija experience, looked at me and bolted into the darkness. He did not have a flashlight and knew it would scare the shit out of me, which it did. I immediately was worried that he could fall and trip or hurt himself in the darkness, and we would not know, so I took my flashlight and went after him. I told the 2 of our friends to stay there so that I could find them back at the site through voices. I walked swiftly through the clearing outside of the forested area looking for my friend, looking around to check where he could have run off to. I am pretty freaked out, so my pace is fast, and as I am looking on each side, I slam my body into something and take a step back. It's the friend that I was looking for, but he does not seem to be fazed by me running into him at that speed. I ask him why he fucking ran off from us and tell him how stupid he was. He does not respond as I am looking at him, facing away from me. I immediately think he still wants to fuck with me, and I tell him to cut that shit out and let's go back. This exchange and the previous one happened in about 20 seconds. He still does not respond, and I begin to feel that something is wrong. I come to his side and look at his face with a flashlight to see that he is frozen in fear. I adjust my face to the direction that his is in and see a moving lit apparition on the outside of the clearing within the forest, moving as if floating inches above the ground. I begin to try and fathom what the fuck is going on as I too am now frozen. I don't know how much time elapsed as we both stood there, but as soon as I came back, I knew that we should run. We ran back in the direction I came, never looking back, frantically yelling the names of our other friends. Hearing them, we were directed back to the forested area in the cemetery. We hopped the fence, rushed them back down the path as fast as we could, got in the car and drove off, telling them the entirety of story of our experience as we were on our way back home. The drive to our town is about 25 to 30 minutes, and as I said before, the drive is on 2-lane highways and roads through miles of farmland. It was just past 2 a.m. and we did not see a car for miles until we suddenly saw police cars and an ambulance blocking the road amongst all of the farmland. The cop ushered us by, and all of us looked to the side of the road for what they were there for. Apparently, a car had crashed into a ditch on the side of the road. There were 4 members within the car. 4 body bags lay just outside of the ditch. I have no idea if this is affiliated with our experience, or if it was just a coincidence. We said nothing on the way home. Neither my friend nor I felt any scratches on our back after the experience, but the next day, I did have physical marks on my back from it. They are scarred and have not gone away.